Whom is the guest that you brought today?
Well, I'm always excited about the guests that I bring, right? This guest is not only a client, but I'm a customer of his, so because I really believe in that too. I brought you Palash Desai with The Organic Maids. And one of the reasons I invited him, he comes from an MBA in Cornell, from Cornell University, Silicon Valley, has worked in international business. We'll talk a little bit about that with one of the questions I ask. And he was driven to get in business for himself based on the concept of purpose-driven capitalism, which in my book, 50 Marketing Secrets, 3 of the secrets was around charitable giving and making a difference. And his approach to purpose-driven capitalism is very exciting. And he's one of the top cleaning companies in the Charlotte metro area. And so it proves that you can be purpose-driven and profitable when you approach it that way.
Amen.
Yeah. So very, very exciting. So I'm thrilled to have him here. So I want to start off with
Palash, thank you for being. Did I say that right? Palash.
Palash. Yes.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for having me today.
And so I want you just to tell the story of what got you to the whole purpose-driven capitalism. Ask why it just resonated with you and how you wanted to run your own business and even get into business for yourself.
Yeah, so when I moved to Charlotte in 2010, I observed almost immediately that there was a big, sharp difference or disparity between the haves and the have-nots in the city, much more than I've seen in any other city around the country. And I visited
That's a surprising statement.
And that was actually verified by a Harvard professor, Raj Chetty, who did a study on social mobility, which said, how likely are you if you were born in the bottom 20% that you're going to make it to the top 20%? That's called social mobility. And he ranked 50 cities, and Charlotte came in dead last.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's a
that
landmark
was like
study.
2011, right?
2011 to 2012. And it's a landmark study that spawned a lot of different nonprofits to start focusing on this issue. And I was working in corporate America, and I've always had this burning desire to do something that was more impactful to the community. And so I started thinking, how am I going to encapsulate what I'm thinking about? And I went to a presentation by Jim Rogers, who was then CEO of Duke Energy, and he used this term purpose-driven capitalism. And in that moment, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And after looking at different businesses, we decided to go into the cleaning businesses with a specific intent of 2 things. Number 1, the company has to be profitable, very, very profitable. And the reason for that is if we're going to do something that's going to be impactful, I need to get other people to leave their corporate jobs and join small businesses and start their own small businesses. And they all have financial commitments just like I do. So it has to be very, very profitable. And in my case, what I did in the cleaning business is that I wanted to elevate the lives of my cleaners who typically come to us earning about $18,000 a week, $360 a week. And I said within 3 weeks, I want them to be earning equivalent of $900 a week. So about $45,000 a year. And what that does is that it allows them to get off of the government assistance and contribute back into the coffers so that they're now paying their taxes and they're able to move into better neighborhoods, send their kids to better schools. So the whole idea of purpose-driven is encapsulated within that whole business concept.
And the minute you say that to me, I say, no, you're going to have to do that and make money. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So obviously that was right on the back of your mind, right? So now talk about how you designed and put together a business model that essentially you created, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct. So a couple of things. Once you've hold fixed, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to spend the money increasing the lives of your employees, okay? Right. Then every other business decision is sort of falls secondary to that primary decision. So you can't make an expense without understanding, well, what is that expense going to give me? Just like you said before, you have to be able to measure every single expense and see what type of return am I going to get out of that.
Is it really an investment? Right.
But here's the thing about it. We measure our profitability by the P&Ls, right? The profit and loss statements. There's an inherent issue with that in that people say, if I increase my expense, I must decrease my profits or increase my revenues or decrease my expense somewhere else. And that's a zero-sum game. The problem with that analysis is it doesn't take into account the opportunity cost. If you don't have good, stable staff, you're not able to service customers when they call last minute. you're losing customers because you're constantly shifting their schedules around, and they get upset with you and they leave. But nowhere in the P&L is that being captured of your lost opportunity. If you start folding that back in and saying, I want to stabilize my staff, and what type of revenue could I generate by doing that, then you'll see that it makes good business sense.
Right.
And most people just most people don't take a look at the P&L statement in that manner.
Well, and one thing that's really impressed me about you, Palash, is you do what I call profit sizing. You look at some of those intangibles that directly impact profitability in the customer market segments, in the services that you offer, and in the geographic pockets and where your opportunities are coming from. You have naturally done that. That's something I have to teach a lot of businesses how to do. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit more about what really got you. You came out at you're at Cornell and you worked various jobs. You were in Silicon Valley, and then I think you came to this marketplace, or no, right before this marketplace, you ended up going to North Africa, to Morocco, and that really was probably one of the most rewarding corporate aspects you've had that reinforced why you wanted to go in business and do something meaningful. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's Cornell University is a very expensive school. Right? It's $100,000 and back in 2000 to go to a business school for that. And one of the things that they do is that they give you a personality assessment that says, what type of personality do you have and what type of jobs are well suited? So a lot of my classmates were getting into investment banking, product marketing, management consulting. When mine came back, it says Palash would be good being a member of the clergy or a manager of a nonprofit. Much to
You're going to spend $100,000 a year.
Can you imagine, right? So it's a completely true story. And every time I walked in the hallways of the business school, people say, "Save the whales, Palash, save the whales," right? Because everyone was laughing, right? But I thought it was completely there has to be something wrong with this, so I ignored it. Went into management consulting. Got bored with it, moved on to Silicon Valley, did 3 startups. I see a lot of the products here. I did some really cool stuff. I see the product in this studio here, but every couple of years was getting completely dissatisfied. Got onto a project in Morocco to build a high-tech semiconductor company. What that means is they make the cameras that go in your phones. Middle of the desert, and Morocco has a much, much worse disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And this project was through the State Department. The idea is when you have a lot of poverty in an area, it's a breeding ground for lots of unrest and in the worst case, terrorism. So they thought, can we invest in these countries, create a middle class, and allow it to and then elevate their lives so that there's these unrests don't keep happening. And it was one of the most difficult projects I ever did, and it was killing me. But every day I said, my goodness, this is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I come back to Charlotte, put back in the corporate world, and started getting bored again. And that was at that moment I realized I got to do something differently.
Yes.
Okay, we need to take a break. But how does a big head, big smart dude like you choose cleaning? I mean, because you could do this purpose in a bunch of different industries. How did you end up there?
Don't get mad, Joe. I worked with a business broker.
Always blame the broker.
So there's
well, you're a great example of, and I tell this to people for years. My first job was in the restaurant business, so I end up buying a bunch of restaurants. I tell people if my first job was in a bank, I'd be a banker. You're a great example of that, right? So you got started, so you created the best cleaning business that you had.
Well, I was working with a gentleman named Randy Mitchell, who used to be a broker.
I know Randy very well.
I figured you would.
And he's such a great guy, and he just took the personality assessment and says, look, you're good at marketing, you're good at operations. Cleaning really is one of those things you can do. We also looked at elder care, which was the same thing, and we looked at tutoring. But elder care, we were servicing the clients. I really wanted to be able to service the employees, and that's why we thought that cleaning was a better option. And so much to his credit, he actually helped me work through some of the demons there.
Right.
And then I founded the Organic Maids from scratch. So
Right. I was going to say, because this is not a franchise.
no, it's not. It is not a franchise.
Randy's expertise was franchised for years.
And he much to his credit, he was not too disappointed when I told him, look, Randy, I got to do this by my own. I did buy him an iPad because I felt bad. But it was.
I mean, remind him you're a smart dude. And if I gave you 20 minutes with any franchise, you're the kind of guy that could say, I can do this.
Exactly.
Let's take a break and we'll come back.
Thank you.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and I'm here with co-host Sherre DeMao. She is the CEO and founder of Biz Growth Inc. And I'm not Sherre, say his name because I don't want to mess it up.
Palash Desai
Has created his own, the Organic Maids. Palash, how can somebody reach you if they wanted to?
We are at the www.theorganicmaids, that's plural.com, or 704-266-1150.
We'll be right back. And we are back. You are listening to Local Biz Now, where we are the #1 top business show in all of North Carolina until somebody tells me differently. We are talking with the owner of the Organic Maids. Palash, thank you so much for being here, sir. I really do appreciate it. You know, I went to your website. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's an excellent website. One of the things I noticed, I'm reading things like aromatherapy with each cleaning, organic, non-toxic cleaning, like certification on disinfection. In other words, I'm reading these things and I'm thinking, he really cares. Like that's what jumped out on the website, right? And so now that I'm meeting you, I'm thinking, yeah, he really does. This isn't just marketing for you. Right. This really is important for you. Talk about that.
So I've always believed that success or customer satisfaction or even company success is a byproduct of a well-executed strategy. Mm-hmm. So you should know profitability isn't the goal. A well-executed strategy is a goal. So, as Sherre said, fear your customers. Mm-hmm. There are tons of cleaning companies out there. There's got to be a compelling reason as to why you're coming to me versus any of the hundreds of other cleaning companies that are out there. And so we have to differentiate ourselves in ways that matter. One of the things about paying your cleaners a higher salary is one of the things that's really important to clients is having the same cleaner in their home every single time. Mm-hmm. And if you have a high turnover, you can't do that. Right. And so that is a strategic competitive advantage for us. I knew that from day one. Stabilizing the staff will put me head and shoulders above the customers, and I don't need to worry about head and shoulders above the competitors, and I don't need to worry about my competitors once that's the case. The other things, the organic nature of the product, is a great way to get people interested in our company. But think of it this way, Joe. You being exposed to toxic products once every 2 weeks isn't going to do anything to your health. But my cleaners being exposed to it 35 hours a week can cause some serious damage if they are not properly taking care of themselves. So the organic products is really for my cleaners, not necessarily for the clients.
That. Yeah, I love that.
It's a great hook to get people in. It's a great people to get us attracted to our business for clients. But I'm very upfront with my clients. This organic nature is for my cleaners who I protect.
So I'm curious. What's the sales pitch for me to pay 20% more or whatever the number is, right? So in other words, I have to know before I even call you, you're going to be a little bit more expensive. And so there's got to be some value, mental value for me. How do you connect with me? Because somehow, it's only because I did research on you personally, right?
Right.
That I realized this guy really cares. Well, a regular customer may not get that right away. Am I correct? I mean, isn't it?
Sure. We try to go personally to every client and do the visit. We find that and do meet the client first before we engage them. This is a relationship business. It's not a cleaning business per se, right? So I'm very, very focused on telling that to my staff as well as to the clients. We are not that much more expensive than most of our competitors. And so that's another value proposition because we are also very ruthless about only spending money that brings in revenue, right? And so when you are focused on that, you can be, because I can't say, okay, I'm going to pay my cleaners 3 times what everyone else pays and charge 3 times on the, I'd price myself out of the market. So we have to be very cautious of cost, but we also do tell our clients, look, you are going to pay more with us than most other people, but you're going to get a few things. You're going to get dedication from my management. You're going to make a streamlined operation so that you don't have to worry about things. It's just going to work. It's going to be one of those things you just check off and it's done. You're going to get consistency of staff, consistency of cleaning, and you're going to get organic products. And it's not for everybody. If you're a price-conscious customer, I will push you to, will actually refer you to cleaning companies that are less expensive.
Or Sally in a vacuum cleaner. Go call Sally. We don't do that.
Well, and something that you shared with me, Palash, that I found interesting, because again, I'm a customer, and I had them do the first time they came, I had them do a very deep clean, and man, they took care of every little knick-knack. There wasn't one speck of dust or anything in my place. It was so impeccably done. I mean, the attention to detail is amazing, and so for me, seeing that intensity of focus of cleaning and pride in cleaning was really, really impressive. But also what Palash shared is cleaning with organic, these workers have to work harder at it.
That's
right?
true.
Right.
That's
So
true.
talk a little bit, and they're willing to, roll up their sleeves and work harder because they're safer. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, there's a reason why Windex, Pine Sol, Clorox bleach sells so well. It's very easy to clean. And when you use organic products, it does require a fair bit more elbow grease. Now, I also communicate that with our clients. That's one of the reasons why it takes us a little longer to clean as well. And but they're usually quite willing to accept that as a trade-off.
Because once they choose you, they get it. My question was, okay, you got to get them to call and to choose you. But I assume once you get a client, they stay with you for a long period of time.
Yeah, on average about 2 years, because there's a lot of mobility in Charlotte. People come and leave quite frequently, and so that's been that's a better retention rate than most.
One of
clients.
the things I hear with service related businesses, the challenge is growth because getting more personnel is hard to do. Can you talk about that? Because you might find that you're in the perfect sweet spot to be able to bring people in because of your pay rate.
You would think so too, and we do have an easier time than a lot of other companies do, but it doesn't mean that we don't have that as a challenge. It's with the coronavirus, people are scared. They're scared to go into other people's homes. We are very helpful with our cleaners. We're trying to get them all vaccinated. We do qualify for the early vaccination. But the stimulus packages, it does sometimes hurt us. I mean, when the stimulus package came a year ago, it was very difficult to hire people. And then the next round of stimulus packages also does make it a little bit more challenging to hire. We need to find those people that are actively looking for a job. And that's sometimes right now people are sort of assuming that there are no jobs to be had. So they're not looking. It's becoming very hard.
I think you're absolutely correct. People aren't even looking because they don't know. We've only got a minute. First of all, one more time, how can somebody reach you?
Sure. The www.theorganicmaids.com. So the THE Organic Maids MAIDS.com or 704-266-1150.
We've only got 1 minute.
Sure.
I really want a guy like you to tell people out there that are listening, what advice would you give somebody thinking about starting or buying a small business right now?
Know what your passion is and know what type of impact you're going to make in the community. And from then work, and as a plug, work with a business broker who can expand your horizons. I never thought cleaning as an option. It wasn't until I worked with a business broker that says, "Hey, this is an option with you, for you that you might want to consider." Consider everything you can, and then focus relentlessly on controlling your costs.
I would really like to work with you because I could use an iPad or something like that. Thank you, my friend. I
Thank
really
you so much for
appreciate it.
having me today.
You are talking with the owner and the founder of the Organic Maids, and you've been listening to Sherre DeMao. She is the founder and CEO of Biz Growth Inc. Palash, thank you so much, my friend. I really
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll see you next week.